Actually, we're live right now. So what's
Okay.
up, folks? Check it out. This is DJL7. I am live here. Carmen Canoas may be joining in. We're going to see. I actually sent an email to a whole bunch of other people to try to join in. I didn't send them the link, though. We'll see if I get some messages, right? But I'm actually here with Jason. I'm going to let you introduce himself, right? Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. So, hello, everybody out there. My name is Jason Morello. A lot of people may know me as DJ Loudmouth. I've been on radio, television, former professional wrestler, over 20, 25 years. But I am now running for city council.
Your mic's a little bit staticky. Can you make sure that your mic jack is all the way in? Your mic, maybe it's me. Maybe it's my connection.
Hold on.
Oh, there we go. You hear me now?
It sounds better now. It definitely sounds better. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let me start over. Yeah. All right. Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. My name is Jason Morello. I'm better known as DJ Loudmouth. I've been in television and radio and a former professional wrestler for over the past 25 years. And now I am running for City Council District 2, where I live in NYCHA Village, Alphabet City. And I am been the district leader for the 74th Assembly District for the past several years.
Now, I know that you're actually living in Reese houses. I actually talked to Michael Centrone the other day, and he said he liked your energy, right? You came in and you're not afraid to really hold people accountable and make a scene if you feel like it's necessary. And honestly, the man lost his son. So, so doing some work with them. Just want to shout out Susan Busher-Lachaki from West Virginia. She's actually also come out in support of public housing here in New York City specifically, and trying to address Greg Rust, which actually he resigned after the death of Gavin Centrone. So thank you for taking care of Mike and Alicia right there, and listening to them.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to be civil when it needs to be, but me as a future politician, elected official, I have no problem getting anybody's face, just like when I was in professional wrestling. I have no problem, the old rule book, as they say, in politics is out the window with people like me in politics. And I'm not a politician. I will never be a politician, even though I will be elected as one. It's simple, I'm going to hold people accountable. If I have to get in your fucking face, if I have to, come with a stone cold stunner, I'll give you 2 middle fingers like I did to some socialist Democrats a month ago. It is what it is,
I appreciate that. Yeah, honestly, a lot of the socialist Democrats and stuff like that out here, they say that they're about helping the people, but where are they, right? Like, I invited them. You saw the email. They were all invited to this. They could be helping. A lot of times they're helping out their rich friends. Actually, Julius Salazar tried to end public housing, as we know, and Gerald Nadler, right, actually turned his back on public housing. I have all the footage of that as well, whereas the Republican opponent, Michael Zembluskas, right, actually was proposing the saving public housing for the most vulnerable. So there's a weird thing that's going on, but once again, you are a resident of public housing, and we need to actually empower people from the actual community, right, rather than these millionaire saviors, right? Usually they call themselves socialists. They're not very socialist, okay? Like, but they call themselves whatever. It's disgusting wrong. It's just another form of elitism. But once again, someone from the community like yourself, right? You're actually a resident at Reese houses. Am I correct?
Yeah, I've been a resident for over 30 years, and I've been a vital part of this community, this neighborhood of Jacob Reese, of Lower East Side Village, Alphabet City. Jacob Reese. I'm originally from Baruch. I was in Baruch a couple years in the late 80s, up until 92 when they got a spot for us here at Jacob Reese. So ever since like 88, 89. I've been a part of the Lower East Side Village, and I've seen the transformation. When it was bad, it got better, and then I've seen the transformation over the past 10 years that has actually gotten worse. And I finally said enough's enough. You could do all the community activism, work. You could do different things and stuff like that, but it comes to a point when you say enough's enough, and you're gonna have to, step up and run for office, because that's the only way you're gonna be able to make a change is by running for office and getting elected. And I teamed up with the Conservative Party some years back, and now I'm in a position now as a chair in the new Lower Manhattan Conservative Party for New York County, and as district leader for past several years, and now officially putting my name in the ring, the political ring, as running for city council, to hold people accountable like Harvey Epstein, who is a mortal enemy of public housing. He claims to be housing for all when he's the opposite. Just quickly with him, he has been the state assemblyman here for the 74th district for the past almost 10 years. And he has the audacity, while he's holding state assembly office, he has the audacity to run against me for city council, because the position's up for grabs. It's an open election, because Carlina Rivera, one of the worst, probably the worst city council woman in the history of our district, District 2, it's unbelievable. Harvey Epstein defunded the police. He is a part of the failed system that we have with the bail reform, which we need real bail reform. He is for Sanctuary City, more homelessness, congestion pricing, more e-bikes, no law and order. Okay, anything goes with these socialist Democrats like Harvey Epstein. He has led the destruction with Carlina Rivera of our East River Park and our green spaces. He is a key part of the arsenic contamination and the cover up here at not only Jacob Reese houses, but in other developments as well. Lydian Ward, it has spread all the way to Avenue C, Avenue B. They're ripping up ground everywhere here. It's just, it's a construction zone here. It's unbelievable, the contamination and everything, and then the cover up between him, Carlina Rivera, Mayor Adams, and most of all, this is the biggest one. Those things I just mentioned doesn't get your attention. The biggest thing with Harvey Epstein, when he claims he's for housing for all, when it's proven record, or you look at his voting record and the legislation he has vetoed, okay, he has led to the biggest mass evictions in the history of low-income families, disabled families, and veterans. And
do you have any particular you can share the screen if you want to. Do you have any particular documentation to back this up?
I have a lot of documentation. It's scary.
While you're looking that up, I'm just going to mention right quick that Harvey Epstein, I have had some, not so much interaction, but a little bit. Generally, he seems like a nice guy, but some of the things that you said, I have to look up. They seem like serious charges. And but once again, right, the thing is that we need to really make sure that people from public housing themselves are actually mobilizing and getting themselves into positions, instead of always having outside saviors who have, right, once again, Harvey Epstein might not be all bad, might not be all good, right? But the fact of the matter is that he has other priorities. He has other people in the Democrat Party, right? That he almost won the control of the Manhattan Democrat Party, right? He was off by 8 votes, but he's got a lot of other people that are pulling on his strings, that are saying like, we want you for this, we want you for that. That's why we need people that are from the community, right, from public housing, to actually start running for office. So I want to give a quick shout out to Tamika Mapp. I know she's also running for office, Carmen Quinones, and yourself, right? Once again, people might not agree with everything that you have to say, but you are actually breaking ground as a public housing resident running for office, and we need more people to do exactly that. So thank you for your work on that. And I'll let you make your case, right? You want to, I know you're campaigning to a certain extent. Primaries are, now I know the Democrat Party's in is your primaries coming up in a couple of days as well?
No.
Okay.
Well, originally I wanted to run against Harvey Epstein for this year for state assembly, but I wasn't able to for different reasons. So I decided to focus on running for next year for city council. So I will not be in the primary of this year, but I have plenty of friends that are in primaries this year that are running for state assembly, state senate, like Dion Powell, a good friend of mine. He's running for the 33rd, state senate. Of course, you got Gonzalo Durant. He's running for Congress on New York 15,
Right.
against Richie Torres in the Bronx.
Here I
That's
actually have just so you know too, if you look
Yeah.
at this voter registration form, you
Yeah.
can see that the Conservative Party is
Mhm.
actually listed as a third party. People talk about the
Yeah, it
Greens and Libertarians, but the Conservative Party and Working Family Party, those are the third parties on the voter registration form. So they've done a lot of the work that they need to stay relevant, but notice that the news doesn't like to talk about them. Some
No,
things stay, some things up. Yeah, go ahead.
No, and I'm definitely part of the new movement of the Conservative Party from Manhattan. I'm following up what Gonzalo Durant has done in a short period of time, the past 2 years, since becoming vice chairman of the Bronx Conservative Party, the Honorable Gonzalo Durant. He in a short period of time, he did the roles from nothing, and we got over 1,500 members now, in the registered in the Conservative Party, and for the Bronx, and he in part was a big reason on helping Christy Morinado flip District 13 in the Bronx last year, and that was historic. That the first time ever a Republican female candidate was able to defeat an incumbent Democrat in a
Right.
Democratic stronghold of the South Bronx.
Now, I know you're involved in your political wars and all that, and I appreciate that, right? That's why we need to help candidates like yourself. But really, we're here today to provide a town hall for people that are really trying to learn about what's going on in public housing.
Yeah.
And help them to a certain extent, and then also get you some volunteers for your race, right? I think that you said you're putting off till next year. We have to find out about that. But to get volunteers, once again, it's 2 days out from primaries, and people can go out to go door to door, door knocking, and really make a difference in the election. Now, the thing is that right now, something that happened recently in public housing was this supposed. I'm going to actually share my screen with you. Let me see if I can find that. Give me a second while I share this. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's over here. Okay. So if I go right here, you can see that it says New York City's Public Housing Authority, known as NYCHA, is opening its waiting list for the first time in nearly 15 years. Okay. Now the thing is that do you see what I'm showing right here? Right, section for their openings next. Okay, so the thing is that I don't know how much experience you have with this, but the thing is that I actually worked as an inspector, like in public housing, right? And I was actually very passionate about public housing. I would constantly talk to residents and say, "Are you guys Section 8? Are you guys Section 9? Like, what is your guys' terminology?" Right now, even though they say they haven't opened up for like 15 years, actually, what about Reese houses? Are people being actually encouraged or pushed towards Section 8, like within the past 15 years? Because as far as I know, I think they are. I think a lot of people have already been converted to Section 8.
Yeah, I mean, people have been converted to Section 8, but the list has just opened up, like you said, recently, after how many decades, or it's been like what, 20 years, or it's been a long
So
time.
I've been to hundreds, maybe even thousands of because every day we do like 3 or 4 different I worked for like maybe a year, maybe 2 years, right, as an inspector. So every day we're going seeing 3 or 4 different apartments. I'm talking to the residents on a regular basis. I'm meeting other residents. I'm asking them, "Are you on Section 8?" And so many of them say, "Oh, you know what? They actually pushed me towards Section 8, or we just got moved to Section 8 last year." Thousands of people, right? How many people in Reese houses? I think almost Reese houses almost all moved to Section 8. Am I correct?
I know it's over 50% over the past couple years. It's been a big increase in that.
So when they say, right, there's suddenly opening, it seems false. It doesn't seem really to add up. Something doesn't seem to be really matching up here. They're saying like they just opened for the first time in 15 years. They've been putting people from public housing to Section 8 nonstop for the past 15 years. So what do they mean spots opened up? It almost to me, it smells like a bait and switch, because the thing is that Section 8, as you know, protects the person who's renting the property, because it allows you get a voucher. So your apartment, even though it's like, you might be paying like, anywhere from 20 to like, maybe like $2,000 in rent, right? Some
Yeah.
people are paying that in public
I know
housing.
people are paying more than that here.
Yeah, exactly, right? But like, because once your income goes up, they pay more. But the thing is that there's people who are actually, Section 8, right? Instead of being based off of their income, it's based off of the market value of the property. So they can say, oh, this apartment's worth $5,000. You're only paying $2,000, and the government's going to pay $3,000. This allows the landlord to keep jacking up the rent of the property and to keep getting the money off of it. And that's really the incentive for the developers and for the money. So the Section 8, right? Now, a lot of people simplistically say Section 8 is bad. Overall, I don't think it's good, but right, there's so many different implementations. Section 8 could be good or bad. Section 9 can be good or bad. Red Pack can be good or bad. It depends on, is there transparency? Is there feedback from the people who are actually served by the system? And, right, is there any form of accountability? If you have Section 9, right, which they want to save, and people are dying like Michael Centrone's son, right, that's not acceptable, right? Yeah, other people got permanent lead damage of the brain for their children because the children ate paint chips with lead in them because NYCHA Section 9 was covering up the, and the largest bust in federal history just happened in public housing. Not saying, right, yeah, public housing, I want to help the poor, but with this level of corruption and graft and right, this is not acceptable. So I applaud people like yourself coming in trying to clean it up, because we can't all be, Brad Landers, what's his other name? This guy, Harvey Epstein. They're very friendly, very nice, super politicians, but sometimes we need someone to kind of confront the BS. And I appreciate you for that. So we need a balance, right? We can't all be fighting all the time, but we need someone to hold people accountable.
The only way we're going to have real accountability is to elect people from public housing as overseers of NYCHA and everything that's going on. That's why I encourage more people like what I've done. And Carmen, I forgive me for her last name, but more people
Canonis?
like me and Carmen.
There's other Carmens, yeah, but Carmen Canonis?
Yes, her, correct. Carmen Canonis. To be city council representatives, to be state assembly, state senate, because we need accountability, because obviously we cannot depend on these outsiders like Carlina Rivera's or Harvey Epstein's, or there's been other tenants that attempted to run for city council before, or they become tenant association president. I was a longtime member of the tenant association and different things when I was younger, and part of committees and all this stuff and boards. But there's a conflict of interest because people I know personally here in Jacob Reese houses, that there's a corruption in the tenant association. They're bought and paid for by the developers, and in the pocket of Harvey Epstein. They're pretty much yes men for Harvey Epstein, Dan Goldman, for Carlina Rivera, which is a big conflict of interest, because I will always be neutral. Even though I am for residents, I would choose residents day and night. I would die for residents. I don't want to die, but I'm saying I'm willing to die for our residents here, for my neighbors, my friends, people that are disabled, before I see them get kicked out of here, like they destroyed our East River Park. But to stay focused here on our topic and that.
Yeah, I mean, you live there. So the thing is that if you do them dirty, you're going to have to see them every day. You're not going to deal with that. But someone like, once again, I'm not saying like Harvey might even like the public housing community, but once again, developers getting at him, a lot of other people getting at him. I don't really know exactly what the position is in this, but once again, we need people from public housing like yourself, right? Yeah, who are really committed and, to other people, their neighbors. And thank you. Yeah. So I'm sorry to hear about. I know there's a lot of weird stuff going on. I know the things at Reese houses have not been addressed yet, even though Gavin died. Now other people are getting sick. I heard that the tenant association is starting to get concerned because the liability on their end, but it's still right. Yeah, what's school? Harvey, come on, man. Like, people are dying. Like, what happened? Like, what's right? You're always nice to me when I see you in person, so I really don't know what's going on here. But I also heard that one of the staff members also potentially threatened Jason and his wife. That's hopefully that gets resolved. This is a criminal type activity. I don't approve it, but once again, Harvey is very powerful. his
I got
staff
an
member
order
pulled out the
protection.
knife, not him. So
I
go
got
ahead.
an order protection against a staff member, and he has still yet to offer me a public or private apology.
Let's get some justice too. Once again, shout out to Michael Centrone and Alicia Griggs.
And
justice
I
to
even reached out to Harvey Epstein to, put aside the situation that happened at the 10 Association meeting a month ago or so. Let's get together in transparency way and just solve the problem here that we have with the arsenic, with the soil contamination. Let's get together, because a lot of people want to pass the blame to former Governor Cuomo when he was in office. Of course, everybody wants to pass the blame to former Governor Cuomo about the arsenic poisoning and the soil contamination has been going on here for a very long time, and former Mayor de Blasio. But let's not forget that the person who is the head of the environmental protection for New York State and New York City, including this district, is Harvey Epstein and Carlina Rivera. These shares on NYCHA.
I don't want to believe that all these people are bad, but the thing is that the Democrat machine really silences a lot of people and makes sure that a lot of vulnerable populations. You can look at my study with the deaf blind on the accessible pedestrian signals on 42nd Street and how inconsistent they are and how broken they are. The disabled people are being screwed over. People in public housing are being screwed over. People who've been wrongful convicted with letters, right? Yeah. A letter from the Queens District Attorney's Office, Melinda Katz, shows that Reverend Keith Gadsden was freed by the longest serving state senator in state history named Belmonte Montgomery. And instead of exonerating these people, they're going after Donald Trump in a political, not saying that, Donald Trump is perfect, right? But once again, that's the priorities, political priorities, instead of helping people that are on the ground suffering, the little people, the poor people, the vulnerable people, right? They're prioritizing the power game. And I'm not saying that Trump is perfect at all, but come on, folks, right? Yeah. You're going to help us or not. So I do know that Reese House, there was this group called Dare to Struggle that was out there a lot. Did you get to see them at all?
Yeah, I dealt with them in the past.
Okay.
I worked with them a little bit, and they came to my apartment and took some photos. Because my apartment, is not as bad as others, but it's beat up. It's neglect.
They have a decent a force. They have when they come, there'll be 20, 30 people show up, some young kids, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
They could be helping your campaign.
Well,
where are they at? Now is the critical time.
It's funny. I don't want to
go ahead.
I don't want to throw them under the bus or anything, but
I'm gonna throw them under the bus. I'm gonna tell you right now that I got problems with them. They hate me, and I'll tell you why, right? Because these socialists, right? Yeah. The thing is that I'm a war victim. Supposedly they're all out now for Palestine and stuff. I'm a war victim, but they're excluding me. The leaders, right? They don't believe in electoral solutions, so they don't get involved in these things or empowering actual residents. But I'm a survivor of revolution, okay? And I'm saying that the effects that it has on the populace and all that violence and stuff, they don't want to talk about it, so they shut me out, a war victim, so that not saying they're all bad, right? They did some help, right? They took some pictures. They're trying to help you out, but they just showed up out of nowhere. And once again, if y'all really want to help, what you need to do is you need to actually empower these people. So hate me, whatever. Don't help me, fine, right? Yeah. Help out Carmen, help out Jason, help out Tamika Mapp, right? Yeah. Help out people from public housing that are running for office right now. You can do it. Calling out, right? DSA, you say you're about the people, go ahead, right? Yeah. Republicans, hey, they're talking to me now. We'll see where that goes. But once again, shout out to the third parties, Conservative Party. A lot of times, right? The third parties are willing to take on certain issues that sometimes the duopoly won't. And, we help, from the Tea Party movement to other activist movements, we help realign these political parties and people that forget about the little people, right? So we'll see if Jason can get back on. Maybe something happened with the connection there, but thanks again, folks. So Carmen, I went real hard to actually support her campaign. Not sure why she can't. I'm going to check my messages right quick. Okay, she's not really coming. So look, Jason is back. Okay. Jason, what's up, bro? You're back. Cool.
I'm sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah. So, you said you're not running this primary. Are you running next year?
Yeah, my primary is next June, and I hopefully will be unopposed, and we'll have the conservative and the Republican. You know, I'll have that. I have them both. So yeah.
Cool. Susan Bushel-Lachaki, just want to shout out also Vero G Spotlight Network. We have a couple comments just gonna get to.
Yes.
And by the way, Dion Powell.
Yes.
I love this guy's work, just so you know. So I know you've worked with him too.
Yes.
And thank you, Dion, for everything that you've done. Actually, we're actually
And
I
you're a
might
good
be
guy as well.
yeah, on July 11th, when they sentenced Trump, I'm actually going to go in front of the courthouse with a contingent of activists to say, you know, what about us, right? So,
Okay.
so Vera G says Section 8 waitlist came back on after a long overdue freeze for years and only allows limited participants. That's what they're saying, but my experience is there's a lot of people being pushed to Section 8. It's something smells off. Definitely need to keep Section 9 to hold.
Well, they're pushing the migrants, and that's something that should not be allowed. And God willing, I'll be in a position next year to change that, because I will repeal sanctuary city status if it's not removed beforehand. That has to be abolished.
You know, one more thing about Section 8 is they only opened up, I believe, for families. So the thing is that single men often are really left out into dry. And this is true. And the thing is that if you type in Section 8 as a trap, you're going to see that if you take like the city theft program, which is like a city analogous program to this one, you'll see that a lot of landlords don't take the vouchers because, right, and I'll tell you some of the reasons why. When the city's supposed to pay the vouchers on the first of the month, sometimes they don't pay till months later. Sometimes they don't pay for years later. So the landlord, even if they want to help poor people, they're like, the frustration of dealing with the city's bureaucracy and incompetence has them so pissed off that they will actually go bankrupt if they deal with the city's shenanigans and BS. They have when you have someone with a voucher who's getting an apartment, there has to be like a apartment inspection before they can move in, and all this other bureaucratic BS that's got to happen. That doesn't happen for normal people. And sometimes people are supposed to be moving in on the 1st, and they don't move in until the next month. And you know what? The city money just went in there, and it was sitting empty. And
it's also discriminatory issues as well. With it's not only with Section 8, it's with city FEPs and a lot of other things. Is there a lot of discrimination that landlords, you know, are prejudiced and don't want to you know, they don't want certain people in their buildings, apartments.
That too, absolutely. That discrimination is going on. It's supposedly illegal, but they're all doing it.
And you know, it's also based on people's income, which is allowed, but they also do credit scores and stuff like that. And obviously, if a person has a previous eviction or they have a history of being late with their rent or not paying their rent, obviously that's going to hurt the individuals that are trying to look for housing, you know, as well. So it goes both ways.
Okay, just want to shout out Susan. Also, she said perhaps you could do a pro se lawsuit to the public housing department at the state level. Just so you know, there's multiple lawsuits going on right now. I know at Chelsea Houses. I'm not sure about Michael Centrone if they have a lawsuit going. They might be looking into it. Just so you know, I also did a study on the Legal Aid Society and their ties to, unfortunately, the Democrat Party again, the Robin Hood Foundation, and all kinds of millionaire money directly from the real estate agencies. So they have, right, they're going into, right, they're probably going to Reese as well, right, with their little green, right, logo all over saying Legal Aid Society, contact us if you need help. No. They're paid for by the real estate agency. You can't trust them. So I am trying to help the pro se lawsuit. I have talked to some people in public housing. They said, you know, do you want to be my lawyer? I'm already overworked to the gills, right? I've beaten lawyers on my own, but a lot of these people are not really equipped to actually take on the, you know, the legal system because they're elderly or disabled and have other problems. So the pro se lawsuit, there are some people pushing that through, you know, state and federal and city level. Remember this New York City Housing Authority, and the city gets some different, right, funding, different dollars, and the state gets some, right, through HUD. There's different funding sources, a lot of complexity driven in that makes it harder for the average person to understand how to navigate the system. One more question from Susan is, what is the condition of the housing the migrants just got in NYC? Is it better than Section 8 housing? I'll talk about that in a moment, but I'm sure Jason might have something to say about that as well. So if you want to see something to that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what is the condition of housing the migrants? Well, the housing situation is a lot worse because of the migrants, in general, because our resources are strained and it's been cut, eliminated. And this is another key reason why I'm running for city council, is because I'm for, let's get this correct. We're all immigrants here. We're an immigrant nation. Okay, the United States was founded by a bunch of immigrants, you know? Otherwise you're a Native American. Okay? But I am against illegal illegal immigration, illegal migrants that have no legal status to be here in this country. And because of a failed current uh, federal administration and poor policies of cities such as New York, we all have to pay the consequence, whether it's a cut in funding of the police, firemen, community centers, schools, libraries, so on and so forth. So when we're throwing billions and billions of dollars of resources that's supposed to be for hardworking New Yorkers and homeless families that are here, this is our own pandemic, if you will. I thought we overcame a pandemic with COVID, and now we got the pandemic of migrants here. So what they're doing is, New York City is just throwing these migrants into public housing. They're putting them on the top of the list instead of families that have been waiting for 5, 10, 15 years to get a spot in public housing. They're giving them Section 8 now. That's why they reopened Section 8 in part, in half. The real reason why they open up Section 8, I want to keep it 100 right now because that's what I always do with the pipe bomb here. That's what I do. All right. Jason Morello, DJ Loudmouth. All right. Jason Morello for NYC.com. The real reason they reopened Section 8 for this past week, half of it, is to get all the migrants, or especially the migrant families that are overrunning our shelter systems and hotels and all this other stuff, to put them into public housing.
Okay. If I could, maybe just throw in my little 2 cents on this, right?
And that's a big problem.
Okay, I've been poor for a lot of my life. I ran away from home at the age of 16, and I lived homeless for a while, and I've had like a lot of stints of homeless in between then. And the fact of the matter is that being a single guy, right? The fact of the matter is that when I was declared independence, the thing is that the shelter system. I know people that's been in prison for decades and didn't get stabbed up, but they went into public housing. When they went into the shelter system, they got stabbed up immediately. Sometimes the shelter system can be, just as dangerous as any jail or prison. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that, right, being a single guy, I'm not really trying to go into that situation. Like, it's really like grime time over there, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is that, I've lived amongst people who've had formerly in jail, right? They're the people who live on the streets because they can't get a job, can't get a home. Also, people who are illegal immigrants, and I've been around these people my whole life. Now, the thing is that I'm upstate, right? And that Hochul had a new law come out where they're trying to build new high density population housing by transportation hubs. I gave a speech of this at the Queens Village Republican Club, which was happy to host me. By the way, Dia St. People's Forum kicked me out. So they're supposedly, right? Yeah, inclusive and stuff. Not really. Dare to Struggle kicked me out, right? Yeah, we could talk. Once again, I'd love for your
Dare to Struggle turned down the opportunity to work with me and be a part of my campaign. And I found out why.
Why?
Because they working with an active campaign already. One of my opponents on the Democratic side, they're bought and paid for. Just leave it at that.
The Rise and Resist, you could look it up, right? And a lot of these other groups, they actually have ties to the Democrat Party straight up and down. Yeah. They're getting funding. People don't want to believe it, right? Yeah, they're very crafty, these people. Go ahead.
You can find out what they're about the money. They're in part a bunch of crock.
And not all Democrats are bad. A lot of them that are misled.
If Dare to Struggle was the real deal, they would have backed me 100%. They would have
a conversation, 100%. Right? Yeah, if they have a difference, we could at least talk, but they don't want to talk, right? Because I would ask questions like, where's your money coming from? Like, how did you guys just all of a sudden show up? Like, what's your body of work in housing, right? Yeah. I go back to the Obama era. I've worked with a lot of tenancy places. I've been to hundreds of, I've been to many developments. I've been to hundreds, maybe even thousands of different individual apartments, right, in public housing,
Mhm.
right? So where's all the money coming from? I want to know. So, right,
Yeah.
there's no money for me. So a little strange, but you know, they don't want to answer those
Money.
questions. So
When you follow the money, all the dots connect and line. That's why I'm happy that I created our own movement here in the Lower East Side, East Village. I got over 200 members of the new Conservative Party of New York County for the Lower East Side alone. And we got over 6,000 registered Republicans as well. And I even have hundreds of Democrats, Democratic voters, and also people that worked in the Democratic Party switched over and joined our new alliance of the new Conservative Party of New York County. So we created our own movement. We are gonna have our first own tenant association meeting soon. And yeah, it's a We the People movement.
but I just want to finish up a little bit about what's going on with the migrants, right? Because I lived with illegal immigrants my whole entire life, right?
Right here, started Jacob Reese housing.
Yeah, with people with disabilities, right? People who's like wrongfully incarcerated, right? I live amongst, right, even people who've been incarcerated for real reasons. Like I've just being poor, I was always lumped with these people. Now, the fact of the matter is that upstate, there's a place called Newburgh, there's a place called Poughkeepsie, right? And at nighttime, that was a horror show.
Newburgh's very bad.
But the thing is that, right, up there, they have something called HUD with federal, right? They use federal funds to build these homes, and they need to fill them. Right. So the thing is that, right, because the Democrats are wasting money in a lot of ways, right? Yeah. So they shovel the money to the developer friends. They build all this housing, but then there's nobody who wants to live there. So they say they fill them up with, guess what? Migrants and people from the prison system. Right. Yeah. And that's because they have to fill the homes because they got federal funds. So the thing is that really, I believe in the long term, right, the people in public housing and the migrants will be pushed together into to maybe like Long Island or to upstate New York. And I do think that it's really not necessarily the migrants against the people in public housing. I think the real long-term plan is to shovel them together into, the undesirables location, and that's just my opinion. So I have actually some work that backs that up. But
well, I know what the master plan is. For my neighborhood, the East Village, Alphabet City, Lower East Side, it's the complete. If they could finish off the gentrification that they've been doing here for the past 20 years, 25 years, the gentrification, and they want to kick all minorities out of here, and they want this to be completely white. So all you got to do is look around our neighborhood, go to across the street to Avenue D, opposite the projects. We got all these condominiums here, 6-figure, 7-figure apartment buildings. And then when you look over the East River, what's left of the East River Park, because they destroyed most of it. But when you look over to Brooklyn and Queens, you see these new buildings, these new big skyscrapers on the other side with glass windows and that. Yeah. So you get the message what they want to do here, and that's why they have been talking about the privatization and selling off our developments here in Jacob Reese, Lydian Ward, Baruch, Smith Projects, and so on.
I also want to just mention one more thing too, because I've been to a lot of different developments, and another thing that they do is they plan on evicting people from. There are some public housing, buildings that are that have a lot of vacancies because they're trying to resell them off to developers, and they don't want don't want to have to evict a lot of these people, right?
We got many vacancies right here in my development. For like 2-3 years, people passed away, they moved out, and they're just sitting there empty.
Yeah, that's not yeah, exactly. And another thing that they're doing is they're filling these apartments deliberately with migrants, right? Yeah, because these people don't speak as good English and they're more vulnerable. So the translator comes in and says, do this, and they just sign because they're not, right. The same way that these people, right, people who are Spanish speaking at GameStop, they get victimized, right? They get signed up for some kind of membership for something they never asked for, but because they don't speak English, right, they're taking advantage of. So these vulnerable populations, right, these migrants, right, they're moving them in because they know that they're going to be easier to get rid of those migrants than for someone who's been there. And they also break your history of tenancy and all kinds of other horrible shenanigan games. So even
that's why I'm lucky to still be on Section 9. It's weird. We're between Section 9 and Section 8. but I'm lucky to still be a part of Section 9 because let's say something happens to my mother. Tomorrow with Section 9, I'm guaranteed this apartment and the rights to it by succession, by being a part of the original family composition.
Damn right.
And and one day, if they decide to privatize this or they want to tear down this building and they want to sell the building and put a new building up, then obviously they have to pay me out, and other people out. But if they strip you of Section 9 and you go to Section 8, you lose a lot of those rights, and you could be you don't have succession rights. You don't have, in a way, you don't have no property right here, no equity. Being
That's
here
what they're not talking about. You're damn right. That's what they're.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, that's why we need people like you saying what's going on, because
Yeah.
that Section 8, what a great opportunity. Just open it for
Yeah.
the first time in 15 years. Oh, what? You
That's
leave
what
all this other stuff. Don't talk about that. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
So that's why I'm fighting for Section 9, especially for public housing. We need to preserve and protect Section 9. I'm against RAD and PACT. RAD and PACT is corrupt as the day is long. They're incompetent. They should not be responsible day-to-day operations of NYCHA, anything involved, because obviously, with HUD and more with PACT, with RAD, there's more greed involved and more incompetence. We got incompetence with our management here at Jacob Reese. We had security guards here. I don't know. I understand that what we're trying to do. I don't know if you heard that there's a pilot program that the mayor's office had over the past several months. It was a pilot program that they had security guards. Instead of draining the resources of having a police car always stationed, always in NYCHA houses.
Right.
They did a pilot program where they had security guards stationed in the lobby of each building, because back in the day we had tenant patrol that I was a part of. I don't know if you remember that. Well, we used to have a tenant association, tenant patrol, that we used to have people downstairs in the building checking people like logbooks, and then going to doing sweeps in the hallways and stuff like that. But we had a pilot program where we had security guards, and the mayor's office, unfortunately, they removed them all one day. In part, this is coming back to you earlier, the incompetence of City Hall. They forgot to pay the security guards. The security guards have a class action lawsuit right now against the union of the city and City Hall, the mayor's office, and NYCHA, because they owe the security guards back pay of hundreds of hours. And the result of us losing our security guards in a short amount of time is that our mailboxes have been vandalized and broken into in Jacob Reese and Lillian Ward for the past several weeks. We have half the residents here have not received any mail. We have to go to the post office because our mailboxes have been vandalized and our mail has been stolen.
Okay, so look, once again, if the
that's
best thing to do really is to empower the community. But here's another thing. I've been part of a lot of community watches that got set up in this kind of thing. And the problem is that, it seems like it's a good thing when it first starts. Everybody feels like they won. But then what happened is that, after maybe a year or two, right? Yeah, one of the guys who's working as a security guard, he doesn't show up for work. Maybe he was sick. Who knows, right? Yeah, no one reports him. Then a month goes by and he's not showing up like every other day. You know what I mean? And then eventually he just stopped showing up altogether. There was a line that was created. There's money that's floating around. Someone else is grabbing it, not doing anything. The thing is that we need to, once again, get people from public housing more involved, just like yourself. We need to get more people invested and working in the community, and then these things can happen. So you can't just say, oh, the mayor's going to slap on this Band-Aid or slap on that Band-Aid, and this is going to just solve all of our problems. No, right? Yeah. Once again, we need people like Jason. We need people like Tamika. We need people like Carmen out there getting more involved in their community and maintaining, right? Yeah, the voice of people in public housing in positions of power. So Just want to shout out Susan Busher-Lachaki. I hope you look her up. She's a presidential candidate that actually helped out people in public housing. I don't know any other president candidate that has gone as far as Susan Busher-Lachaki. Once again, right? You're the only one who showed up here, right? Tamika, I guess, you know, it's fine. And I guess I'm a nobody, you know, it's very difficult as Asian American activist. Again, and also competing against Dare to Struggle and all these other.
Very vital to what we're doing here, what we're trying to do.
Hey man, thanks for the party, bro. I love you guys.
The voice, you are the voice of the voiceless.
All right, so yeah, the next
I'm
day.
share some footage with you. I see the video. I was trying to share some stuff with you. But I'll continue while I'm trying to set that up here.
I know that Dion also has a voter list. He's also part of Rep My Block, as in terms of making that available. So actually door to door, when the politicians win, that's what they actually do. Now, I had actually to schedule the next, and honestly, I got a lot of love for. Let me check my messages again. Yeah, I got a lot of love for Carmen Canonis, but right, yeah, I made a commercial for her, but
I was looking forward to her being here. What happened?
You know, not sure, but you know, I'm really going really deep to the fact of the matter is a lot of help goes up, right? Yeah, people help those above them, hoping for help back. Carmen is the most well-known tenant associate president. She's actually always been very helpful to myself. She's always had time for me. I got a lot of love for her, but I'm really, you know, sacrificing myself to do this activism. And yeah.
Well, I got a very interesting video to show you.
Let's see.
Where it talks about the arsenic and talks about it exposes everything, baby. Are you ready for another pipe bomb?
Let's see it, man. Let's see.
Let's go right now. And it's produced by the campaign to elect Jason Morello for City Council, District 2, 2025. Let's go. Let's get it. We the people.
Okay, I'm going to add it to the screen, my bad.
All right.
With those concerns from people at a public housing complex in the East Village. They say they're worried their drinking water has been tainted with a potentially dangerous chemical. That's because tests show arsenic is in their tap.
You can hear it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Thousands of residents within a 6-block radius that are being told not to drink or cook with the water coming out of their tap. Loading up on water from stands right outside the Jacob Reese houses. Tenants are being urged to cook and bathe with this instead of what's in their apartment.
Everybody's worried. The whole development is worried.
Along part
I
of
think that's
Manhattan's
Alicia right
east
there.
side, where 100,000 people live.
It is a corrupt plan. It is a land grab on stolen land. The city wants this 50 acres, and you know that by how quickly they are destroying the trees.
Who is this lady? Wait, is that lady from the community? Is she from Reese Houses?
But right now, for this group, the sight of trees being cut down isn't sitting well.
I was upset. They cut down the trees, destroyed the whole park.
The saplings are not replacing fully mature grown trees, which take
that black guy right there. He was actually with me at
Mount Sinai Beth Israel is inching closer to shutting down.
All right, as of Sunday, the hospital will no longer accept cardiac or stroke patients, and by July, they plan on closing altogether.
Oh my goodness! Oh my!
Yeah. Looks at how this is going to affect Lower Manhattan, which has already lost 2 other hospitals.
Without warning, I suffered a real stroke. I actually walked to this emergency room. If I hadn't been able to walk to an emergency room in that situation, I probably would have died.
Richard Turrent lives in Gramercy, and years ago, Beth Israel Hospital here on the corner of 1st Avenue and 16th Street saved his life. But beginning this Sunday, the hospital will discontinue stroke and cardiac services as Mount Sinai moves to shut the hospital down. Community members say it is a move that will cost lives.
This is a complete catastrophe. Across the street is a community of 25 to 30,000 people, many of whom use this hospital.
Mount Sinai's announcement of shutting down stroke and cardiac services comes despite a restraining order issued by a judge last month, directing it not to shut services down without approval from the court and health officials.
Positions being transferred and departments being closed. It looks like they're closing the hospital with
casings littered the floor of a lobby at the Compost Plaza NYCHA development in the East Village, where police say 2 men, one 21 years old, another 24, were shot last night right after 7:30. Police say the 21-year-old who was hit in the torso died. The 24-year-old was struck in his left leg and taken to the hospital in stable condition. The shooting capped another day of gun violence.
There you go.
That's unfortunate. Yes. So,
what do you think of that?
Yeah, people like yourself. We have the Jason Murillo for NYC.com. He's not running in this particular year. I guess he's running next year. But please keep once again, people in public housing, we need to put them in positions of power, like right now, right? There's too many saviors coming in from outside the community that, once again, there was a group called United Front Against Displacement. They had some good activity going on in, by Coney Island. Then a year ago, they just disappeared all of a sudden, right? Dare to Struggle was around, right? A lot of people got sucked into them and they did some decent things, but now that it's really crunch time, where are they? Right? Yeah. Okay. Can we even have a conversation? So look, I
invited them
to this. Yeah, go
for
ahead.
the past several, because I was a part of DTF Radio, which was a big internet radio station for decades here in New York City and around the country. And I'm part of iHeartRadio.com and WPAT 930 AM New York, which I'll have you be a part of in the future, and Who's Next NYC FM Radio. I gave an open platform for several years to Carlina Rivera, Eric Adams personally, and to Harvey Epstein, and also Richie Torres, AOC, and obviously none of them have the balls to show up. I'm willing to pay for their lunch, their dinner, their car fare, whatever. Their
they don't need that money. They got mad money. They don't need no money. They don't need that dinner.
They have an open mic anytime to come on here, to come on any of our platforms, to come to the radio station, to Manhattan Neighborhood Network. I'm a TV producer as well. They have an open seat, open platform to defend themselves against this stuff.
Yeah, they Save Section 9, I do think they're kind of like working more with DSA and stuff like that. And I know they have this whole plan for the environmental stuff, right? I like to, but the fact of the matter is that how are you going to be telling people to put in electric heaters in their home when they're drinking poison water? Okay. We need to prioritize when they find environmental tests that are worse than 9/11. So they're talking about environmental changes, but it's really to help their buddies get the contracts. But while people are dying now, okay, like whose side are you on, AOC? Like you never have time for me, you never have time for resident public housing. Yo, come on. You know what I mean? Come on, right? All you got time
well,
to say.
We know what side Harvey Epstein is, as he's the chair of the environmental protection for New York State and for NYCHA, because his construction companies have been very busy here and throughout NYCHA developments throughout New York City. Denelli Construction Companies is linked back to Harvey Epstein. So he created this mess and he's profiting off of it as we speak, with his construction company buddies doing the supposed cleanup.
Yeah. So look, once again, I got a lot of love for Carmen Quinones and her accomplishments, but I know that she's also very powerful, and there may be other people that convinced her not to come on today. There's a lot of people that pressure, right? Once I start to connect with people, they'll actually get calls from people that are in the industry or whatever and say, don't fuck with that guy. Don't do this with him. Blah. If you mess with him, we're going to do this to you. So.
Well, I don't know her circumstances. I'm not going to talk about that one way or another, but
there's people with power, right? And I'm not saying that she's guilty. I get it just comes with power, right? I've been in positions of authority before, but I'm really going to commit more of my resources.
You'll never have that problem with people like me, because I'm not beholden to anyone but the people. So
well, I'm gonna do some more work with you. You show up for me, I'm gonna show up for you, bro. So ask Dion about that. You know what I mean? He showed up for me, and I've been dependable for him. So
I'm not going paid
for me. I'm not saying she's never been there for me. She's been there for me, straight up.
I'm not paid for by $1 million developers, special interests, any lobbyists, and I never will be. I'll always be beholden, like you are, to the people.
I like that. You're not afraid to tell the truth, yeah?
No.
Shout out to Susan Busher-Lachaki and everybody else in the chat. I think that's basically it. Yeah, I think we did a good job of cutting up Section 8 and saying, like, not everything is as it seems. and driving some more support for people in public housing that are running for office. Empower these people, please.
Can I show a quick 1 minute?
Go ahead. We're here to help you, man. Exactly.
All
I'm
right.
here to help you, bro. Come on.
Let me show a quick 1 minute video on why I'm ready for city
Go
council.
ahead.
All right.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm gonna share that screen with you.
There you go.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
why I'm ready. I'm ready for them.
I like that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, actually, maybe I could even because I used licensed music, so maybe that's why I got cut off YouTube. But I was gonna show the commercial I made for Carmen Quinones. But it's all good, man. Thanks again for participating today. And a lot of times, right, the Democrats they had too much power and they got too much entrenched with other people, and they no longer have time for the little people anymore. It just kind of looks like that. So thank you for being a voice for the voiceless and for having time to try to help others community, man. And I think you also were born. You said your mother was from Reese Houses, so you were born and raised your whole life in public housing.
Well, I wasn't born here. I'm originally from Brooklyn, but I've been here. Me and my mother, we was in a domestic violence situation with my father. So we were in the shelter system the past, for a couple years in the late 80s. But we've been here, a part of Lower East Side East Village, from Baruch to Jacob Reese, like 88, 89. And I'm the native son here. This neighborhood took in a kid, and accepted me as one of their own. So I'm paying it forward. 30 years later, I'm giving back to my community and my neighborhood. And this is the way I know how best is to be the voice for them, to be their champion, their hero, and to be their next representative for City Council District 2 in 2025.
I hope you inspire many other people to run, Jason. You're an inspiration. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm going to hit end stream.